Hey everybody, welcome to the show. In trying to come up with a theme or topic for this week, I was perusing through the usual bucket of ideas that I have, and I realized we haven't done a Lorecast in close to a month, and me and Sam always enjoy doing these just because I get to learn a lot more about the world of Ember Sword than I previously, knew. And every time it turns out that there's this little nugget of information that really needs to come out in the open. And first off, Sam, hi. Welcome to the show. Our narrative designer, Samuel Horton, everybody.
Hey, thanks for having me again.
Hell yes. So what brought this idea for the casts up?
Well, there are actually people, out there who kind of like the lore of Ember Sword. That's what really started it. But yeah, people want to know what the timeline of this world is, and I felt like, hey, this is a great way to indulge, and I love going over it myself. It's fun stuff. So let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, what better way for people to learn the history than to listen to your dulcet tones as I just sit here and marvel. Okay, well, let's get into it. Start at the beginning.
Well, when a man and a woman love each other.
Not biblical.
Okay, yeah. So the year is 2220. This is about it's 200 years from now in our own universe. So let's hope that they have a better roaring 20s than us. But with this world, we start on the moon of Io, and this is where the birthplace of humanity, for all intents and purposes, what is recorded, it begins right here. We have reached a space age, and we are ready to go out into the solar system. We are ready to just bring it on. We're ready to seize the sky. And so a part of launching the probes out, a part of this initiative is responding, or following good leads. And the best lead out there is that there's been a screeching transmission received from the Sagittarius constellation. And, this plays a parallel to SETI in our universe, in our world. And we try to respond, but they don't write back, essentially. We just hear a radio transmission. And so, while we're searching, it is 5 years later that we discover something shocking. There is another humanity growing on Mars. There are people that, like us, that have a thriving colony, but they're in like a Puritan-like state. It's kind of like if, you were to like it's not even comparable to you walking going to Tennessee and saying, oh, here are a bunch of Amish people. This is more like these people are like 400 years in our past, today's past, and they just have a very simple way of living. It's like these people on this planet of Mars, we don't know where they came from, but they look like us, they sound like us, and they've had a hard time, and we don't know where they are. So, but we probably had a similar origin, but we don't know what that origin is. So, is then in the year 2263 that we detect another phenomenon. There is a massive object discovered orbiting the star KIC 846285. Please, people, look it up. And in our own universe, there's something called the WTF star. And what we discover is that there's a massive object orbiting it, that behaves in an erratic manner. Like, it almost doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem like it could just randomly be there, but we don't know what that is. It's 1,500 light years away. So, as we're bonding with our own fellows from Mars, we're watching the sky because it's like, hey, if we found people here, there's no telling where life could be. So, anyways, over the next 75 years, you come to the year 2300, and for the last 75 years, we've been mingling with the simpletons from Mars. We're from Io. We get to enjoy the like basking radiation of Jupiter that would murder you if you come within a 250,000 miles, but let's not go into that. Semantics. So, yeah, we've been bonding, and we're kind of evening out, where we kind of are on the same page eventually, as Mars has been incorporating our technological capabilities and catching up. You know, it's almost like, you know, the DMZ between the two Koreas has been brought down, and, you know, the two cultures are like something similar to that, you know, where catching up is, you know, we're reaching that good phase. So from here, the two civilizations decide to become one, an interplanetary government called Pangea. People were wondering, is Pangea a planet? No, it's several worlds, and Io is not a planet last I checked. So it's Io and Mars, and they decide we need to expand. You know, look how great it is with our two worlds. Let's colonize. So to do this, they decide to deploy these gargantuan machines, terraforming machines called Skyders. And yes, you are aware of the word Skyder in Ember Sword lore with Ediso. A lot of you guys hate Ediso. Stop it. So yes, there are these Skyders deployed. These are massive terraforming robots that are going to change and develop the atmospheres of these worlds. So this brings us to the year 3214. It has been 900 years of terraforming. Yes, this is scientifically accurate, people. It takes about 900 years to terraform a world.
Seriously?
It's not like... Yes. And this is actually something that, you know, I adapted to when I was writing the lore. It was actually one of the latest changes to the lore. It was before, you know, this was all public, but, you know, this is actually something that, you know, we want to have out there. That, you know, we follow the rules pretty well. You can
Is it
bend
based
the
upon
spoon.
something?
Oh, that's just what's, you know, been what has been postured, like with terraforming Mars, for instance. Otherwise, we're gonna have to, like, if in our own universe, if we want to colonize Mars, we're gonna have to live in big glass bubbles, essentially. So yeah, it's based on something. So it's been 900 years, and most of the Galilean moons of Jupiter are now habitable, except for Ganymede, because it's the largest. There's some delay with that. And if people are wondering what the Galilean moons are, if you look at Jupiter through your telescope and you see the little shiny dots around it, those are the Galilean moons. There are several dozen moons orbiting Jupiter, but those are the ones that are sizable, that stand out. They could see through a telescope. Or if you're a goat, you have good enough vision and you can see it from... But I don't think any of you guys are goats. So
That we know of. We do have ducks, so hopping a skip to goats.
Ducks.
No pun intended.
Yeah, we have ducks, and we also have... Apparently Starzhen is in the chat. But anyways... Ganymede has not, it's not up to snuff, but thankfully it has this one curious little satellite that is tidally locked with it, called Thanabus. You know, you probably won't see it if you look through the telescope, and we're going to get into that. So what the people from Ganymede, like the 2B colony, decide is, you know, we want a home. We want to have this going, so we're going to have the Ganymede colony land on Thanabus until Ganymede is ready. You know, no one wants to be on Thanabus because Ganymede's the proud jewel. But you know, for the next few years, we can kind of set things up. So the governor of that whole expedition is called Bo Abel, and what's on Thanabus? The head of the Nicholson Astronomical Foundation is a fellow called Alistair Burkhalter. Oh, that's a name like
Ooh.
the Burkhalters. Oh yeah, and he's NAF. What they do in this world is that they are essentially this universe's SETI. They want to reach out. So from Thanabus with this new Apsis Observatory. It's so exciting to be able to say this because this is stuff that you guys have been seeing. From Apsis Observatory, they start sending things, messages out to that one curious object still orbiting that star, the WTF star. This is still happening, guys. 1,000 years later. Why is this thing there? What is it? In our universe, we don't know. I hope the answer is different. And so...
I really hope so.
Yeah. So, of course, while this is happening, this is a curious part of the lore. There are these, things are powered, like ships are powered by fuel still. There has to be sources of fuel, and at this point in time, the best source of it is actually to collect the cold components of the Jovian planets, and one of those is there's a freighter that's called the Spirit Shredder that is harvesting some materials from Jupiter, but it malfunctions and falls into Jupiter, and this actually is quite costly to Pangea. They don't know how this thing malfunctioned because these freighters are robust and they can withstand tremendous pressures and all that, but it falls into Jupiter and it's seen as a very big loss. But then here's where things start ramping up. 6 years later, it's the year 3220. Starzhen arrives, and people look up in awe and horror as they see that this thing, this entity, it commands an entire planetoid that moves freely throughout the cosmos. This thing is powerful. He is powerful. Starzhen is godlike, and his body is essentially an entire network of bodies inhabiting this planetoid. So complete control, and he comes onto the scene, and everyone is terrified. And he says that he's arrived to answer a threat heralded by negligent transmissions over the millennia, like a threat, like a rising threat. Something is rising, and it's like, oh my God, we are rising, and we are sending these transmissions to this thing over the last 1,000 years, and look what it's gotten us. It came, and it is scary. He then shows off his capabilities, and he announces that he wields a powerful weapon called the Ember Sword, and this weapon, when it's held, in the right hands, you could channel the very energies of the universe. Like, it's basically, you could take the power of a supermassive black hole and wield it through a blade. And so this thing, this guy is dangerous, and he's scary, So, for the next 5 years, Starzhen quietly patrols through our solar system. What is he doing here? And then, suddenly he springs into action. He lunges at the planet Jupiter, and he projects energy into the atmosphere. He is attacking Jupiter. He is sending energy into this planet. Why is he doing this? This is going to be bad, But for people who are science aficionados, they should realize that Jupiter, with the right components during the primordial days, it could have been a second star. So this is bad. This could upset the scale of things, the balance. And so we've been getting ready for this. So the fleet from Pangea launches into action and attacks Starzhen while his focus is into Jupiter. And so there's this sudden, it's almost like a Mexican standoff between him, Jupiter, and our fleet. And we managed to do it. We managed to kill Starzhen. Kaboom. He explodes, and the debris, it destroys the fleet, and it showers the Galilean moons in wreckage, and it lands down upon upon Thanabus, and all the other moons. On Thanabus, the Skyder crashes, which causes a big terraforming malfeasance that creates Ediso. Like this once beautiful forest is now like it's a tundra. And now, like, Skyder's sticking straight out of there. And Duskron, it is even more of a Sahara desert than it ever was. And just everything is knocked off balance, everything. And, like, most of the population is decimated. This is a technologically sophisticated, we've done it, and they are suddenly, it's almost a question of who done it now. Like, how did this happen? And the dust settles, and what happens is that, like, the dust is settled, and now the remains of Starzhen, the planetoid, it's like almost a ring around Thanabus. It is called the Husk. People can perpetually see the remains of this entity that nearly destroyed them. It's like the Ember Sword is gone. Like, what was that? Like, we saw that, like, attacked Jupiter, and things are now just quiet, and it's a dark age. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait for something from Pangea. But then, when we do receive word from someone who is affiliated, we learn that Pangea, it's no more. This whole thing, it perpetuated a blame game. It perpetuated a civil war, and now, our little colony of Thanabus, it's on its own, and our hubris, of just assuming that we could take it all on, that we could, just delve into the madness of science. This, it snapped back. It was like a rubber effect. It bounced back at our face, and this is what science has got to us. And so the provisional government, just the emergency government, is run by the Governor Bo Abel's right-hand man, Arch Claudius. And so Abel is dead, and Claudius is he's this young man, and he says that they need to rally, and they need to take care of themselves, and this provisional government becomes the Republic. And the northern hemisphere of Thanabus was predominantly where people settled at this point. Duskron was more of a ideal land to move for caravans. It was good for trading. It was good for passing through. So the people there, they now are like, well, we're gonna have to make Duskron into something. And a prominent trader of that was a trade king. Like, he became the trade king, and his last name was Scarrow, and people rallied around him, and trading actually became its own nation and its own enterprise. And where Severin is in all of this is that the biggest chunks from the catastrophe, the biggest parts of Starzhen, they landed in the center of Severin, and it created this, like, dusty plateau, this just hellish landscape in the middle of the jungle, just like a bald spot, if you will, and the rocks sticking out of there, they became known as Starscrape, and so that becomes that becomes the capital of Severin eventually. But for now, it's just a good place, at this point, it's just a good place for people to take shelter in who are kind of stranded at Severin. And Severin becomes a prison colony for people from the Republic. People are sent to exile here. Haha, have fun in your toxic, poisonous, dangerous jungle. Good luck. See you later. And in the meantime, in Burkhalter, with the not Burkhalter, Solarwood, happens with the Apsis Observatory, that becomes the very first piece of Burkhalter's Academy, the most prestigious, the academic institution of Thanabus, and so the seeds have been planted, and everything has just developed to where we are now, hundreds of years later, and Claudius is still alive. It's like this guy, he rallied everyone, with stunning resolve, and he's alive and almost like ageless. This fellow, it's almost like providence to people, and
that's a bit suspicious.
Yeah, no, you think?
Yeah,
nah. So, no, that is is where it leads us today, and Severand, is it wasn't a unified nation. There were a bunch of small communities here and there, and it is almost like Space Australia, if you will, and. Sorry, nice. Tom. Yeah, we have a programmer called Tom. He's gonna love that.
Bless his heart.
And yeah, and he's from Australia. So, no, only in the last few years has Severand unified as a single nation, and they are militant and they are ready for action, and the Republic, the Republic is going strong as ever, and people there are safe, and meanwhile Duskron, it perseveres, and that is where the whole chain of events have led us, and that's on the macro scale. On the micro scale, everyone has an interesting story to tell, or maybe it's not interesting to people, someone, they might be amazed by that time that the crops were slow a few years back, but they're gonna still tell you about it. It's your prerogative to be like, wow, like Owen Wilson.
I've had goosebumps for the past 20 minutes. This was so awesome. I never quite put together just how Wow, do you need a break? Do you need to breathe? This was so much. This was amazing. I sincerely hope that everybody took this in as I did, just like leaning back, eyes closed, and just listening to this universe unfurl behind my eyelids. This was fantastic, and it's even better when you mention like everybody has a backstory, and if everybody has listened to previous podcasts, they know everybody has a backstory. Like, you've written pages upon pages about every single character down to their individual likes and dislikes. That's how like seriously we're taking even the micro scale of Ember Sword's narrative.
Well, if people are wondering if this is an exaggeration, I have a page written about backstory of a bear in Solarwood. I have a story written for a kraken in Solarwood, so yes, that is not an exaggeration.
I mean, goddamn, if your macro storytelling is this good, then like every single character's... This is essentially wiki bait at this point. Like, somebody I know is just going to dive deep into this, and I know that members of the community are getting really excited about the lore. I don't know if you saw the post that somebody made, but somebody made up a little like bit of narrative based on the tangential information they had about the game as it was then. So now that they have the actual timeline, and rest assured, in some way this will come soon-ish to our official channels in written form, the timeline of Ember Sword. We're pushing hard for that one. So yeah, if they could do all of that with no information, imagine what can happen now that they know what happened.
Yeah, I really do appreciate that fan fiction that was written about Duskron by Gunstar. Yeah, here's a little shout out to you. Yeah, that was quite the fun read. It is different from where I'm going, but it also gives me stuff to think about whenever I hear interesting input like that, because it's like, it is a big place. Thanabus is a huge moon. There is plenty of room for things to come in many shades. And, so yes, please, people, keep up the good work, of following along, and I'll try to keep up work, hope it's good, and, yeah, we'll see where it lands. And, but, no, I really do appreciate that. And, it really just means so much to me that, just with the little bit of the scroll that we have unrolled, how much people are able to do with it.
That, I believe, is a beautiful way to end the podcast. Like, I can't top this at all. So yeah, this was the timeline of Ember Sword as told by the person who created all of it. Thank you, Sam, for once again indulging me in just telling me, or letting me take a glimpse into the incredible universe that you're creating for the game. Really.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Always amazing. Cool. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thanks, Sam, for participating. And we'll catch you next time. Bye. Hey, you made it to the end. Congratulations. That must mean you like us enough to want more, right? Well, good news. We're all over the internet. Go to embersword.com and subscribe to our newsletter for a chance to play the game early, as well as the latest interesting tidbits on the game and the team. Join our lovely Discord community over at discord.gg/embersword. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at PlayEmberSword for regular updates on what we're up to. And remember the basics. Drink water, be kind to each other, and spread the word about Ember Sword.